Hello and welcome to Hollow Acres Homestead. My name is Stephanie and today I am canning up a bunch of cherries. So I've already gotten the beginning part of this pretty much done. This isn't a how-to video, this is just an overview of what I'm doing and how I'm taking this perishable food of cherries and canning them up for long-term storage. Now these cherries will last for between 1 and 2 years if properly canned. The tools that I have to use are my funnel here, my little stick for the air bubbles. It also measures the headspace, and my jar thingy. I couldn't think of the name. I'm using my pressure canner, but it is not for pressure canning. I'm water bath canning. I'm just going to place the lid on top. I'm not sealing it down or anything. Because of the acidity in the cherries, you can safely water bath can them. So in this pot, I have cherries. These are Bing cherries. I paid for overpriced cherries. I got 2 whole bags full. 2. I put up 5 fingers. I'm not sure why. What I did was pitted them, and I made a liquid. It is a syrup. It's like a light syrup. So it's 5.5 cups of water to 1.5 cups of honey. And I used organic raw honey. After the honey and water solution had gotten to a boil, I didn't allow it to boil because it got foamy on top, just as honey does. It got right before the boiling phase, and I turned off the heat. I waited about 3 minutes, and then I put in all of the cherries, and I let it soak in its juices for about 10 minutes. Now this is still hot, but cooled, and I am just going to fill these jars. I'm hoping that I'm going to have enough to fill up a 12-pack of pint jars. What I will be using these cherries for is, cherry pie. I could do cherry turnovers. I could do cherry fruit leather or cherry juice. I didn't want to just limit myself to one thing that I could make with a whole case of cherries. I wanted to preserve them in their freshest state with a light organic syrup. So this is what I found. I am not filling the jars. That's fine, it fell on a clean towel. I'm not filling the jars completely to the top. I'm leaving, I guess it's like a 1.5, maybe 2 inch headspace. I doubt that though, but right before the rim. See, that one's overfull. I overdid that one. I can bring you in. I'm also going to be filling the jar with, obviously, the syrup. There will probably be some left, but I'm not trying to overfill the jars. That's the point. I'm not going to get a whole pack. I'll probably only get 3, maybe 4 more. Now I have a whole lot more juice in the pot than I do cherries, so I'm going to go ahead and start ladling out some of the juice. Give me a good idea of what's left. Oops, I missed. So I'm going to fill the jars to about 1 inch headspace, and where that is right around about the rim. Right around about there. You know what, I'm doing this in a case. I should know. You see? There. This is, like I said, this is not a tutorial how-to video. This is just me showing you the process of what I'm doing. I will put a link in the description below for a step-by-step process of how to do this. With it being water bath can, it is more accessible than if it were a pressure can recipe. my jars are now all full, so I'm going to take my little thing here and stick it in, move the cherries around from side to side to remove any air bubbles that may be in there. Here I have my jars and lids. I soaked them in hot soapy water and just allowed them to cool back to room temperature where I could touch them. This is just a little bit of water. I'm going to add like a teaspoon of vinegar. I'm going to take my paper towel, dip it in the vinegar mixture, and wipe the rims of the jars. The vinegar is going to help to kill any bacteria that is on top of the jars. And then by wiping it, ensures a tight and good seal. So here is the lid. Place it on top. Get a scratch. And then screw on fingertip tight. Fingertip tight. Whenever you move it, it'll obviously swirl around. Okay, so I have 9 jars, and now we're going to put them in the canner. Okay, so this is steaming. It is not quite at boiling yet. This is the opportune time to put them in. Okay, and I just remembered water bath. Use this because the water bath, the water's going to cover the jar. I got so used to pressure canning. As you put them in, obviously, the water rises. So it fit all 9 jars very nicely. I'm going to put the lid on, allow it to come to a boil, and once it reaches the boil state, I will keep an eye on the heat and start my timer. I'm going to process these for 20 minutes, and I will be back to pull them out with you. We'll put them on this towel. Got a little canning station set up here on my buffet. I'm right here on the towel. See marks from my other jars. So this is my little canning area. Here I have my buffet. I have one of the, it's a cast iron thing. This is what it is. I left the box out. It's an oven tea, cast iron burner. It's a dual. Of course, this pressure canner is so large, and I didn't take that into account, that I can't really fit anything on the other side. So I guess I could have been fine with getting just a single burner. But the intention of this was to have 2 pressure canners going at the same time, or 2 canners. I have spent the last few days canning up a bunch of stuff. Now I'm doing the cherries, but this is chicken broth. Chicken stock, I guess, technically. Chicken stock. And I did not do a video on this. I spent literally the entire day cooking, making the chicken stock from scratch, from bird bones, vegetables from the garden, and herbs. Let it soak for I let it simmer for like 4 to 6 hours. And then got this lovely product out of it. A lot of chicken broth. There's 11 pints and 10 quarts. So this will last us for a while. This shelf beside me is a temporary solution to no storage. It is just a basic shelf that we got at Lowe's. Actually, we got it on clearance. And it is storing what it can for now. I cannot put the jars here, unfortunately, because it is open to light. So I am working on something right now. I have an old china cabinet that I'm considering redoing, doing a little makeover, and making it kind of like a permanent cabinetry on this wall here where the map is. That's just an idea I'm floating, but I have nowhere else to put it, so it seems like that's the way it's going to go. And it's going to hold a lot of food, a lot more than this will. And I can darken the doors so that no light goes in, and I can have the ideal conditions for storing glass jars with food in them. Up here, these are my canning jars. I have pint and quart. These are what's brand new. I went and bought these because it was an affordable deal. They were $9 for the case, which if you are buying cans or jars right now, you know that that's not really the case. That's a good deal right now compared to what it is at other places, versus $11 to $16, if not more expensive for other ones. Right now on the second shelf we have soda drinks. There's oil in the back, Castile soap. This is what I thought was a watermelon growing. It turned out to be a pumpkin. But the plant died before it could fully ripen, so we have a half-ripened one here. So I need to cut this up and do something with it. I already have like 12 or 15 jars of pumpkin already put up. I guess I could use some of those, make some dog treats or something. I mean, all I really use pumpkin for anyway is pie or turnovers or pumpkin treats, fall treats. I need to find a different way to use pumpkins though, which is why I'm growing so many this year. So this would have been a pie pumpkin. I thought it was a melon and I was wrong. For now it goes there. This is not the ideal storing conditions for this, and it's not even ripe anyway, so it's not going to store long. But here, my little fruit thing, I have apples. Also, they're not going to store very long directly in the light. This basket is all beans, dried beans that I want to can up so that I have already prepared beans and they're just ready to go. Pinto beans, black beans, all the beans, northern beans, all of them. This is what is left of my last year's stash. I have a jar of each of these, black beans, red beans. There's pinto beans back there. Dehydrated mushrooms. These were store-bought mushrooms that I put in an old coconut oil tin. And these dehydrated mushrooms will last for 1 to 2 years, actually probably longer because there's no moisture. It's already a fungus. What's it going to do? Fungi more? Down here, we have a mess. This is overflow. I have potatoes and onions, rice cakes. There's a box of pasta here. I need a place to put this other 5-gallon bucket of flour. I have my dehydrator that I need to put somewhere. Down on the bottom, I have my Instapot pressure cooker, and right down there are potatoes. So all of this storage, all of this of me putting all of this food away, canning stuff up, it's preparation. I am preparing to not have food for a while, not be able to go to the grocery store.
But you did move that area.
We need like a tall shelf in that downstairs room where we just put all the camera stuff, all the
I
drones,
was thinking about that.
couple shelves, put all that, because we have so much and it just sits in different piles and bags. I mean, it's put away, but it doesn't look nice. We'd be good adults if we could just get organized. So in the next coming 2-3 weeks, I'm going to be working on getting a lot of these beans put into jars. Like I said, the point of that is just easier, more convenient meals than having to, spend 2 days rehydrating beans. So this is the main pantry. Obviously this was here. I needed more storage, so we bought this. Got this at Lowe's. And what I have stored in here is the majority of the canned foods. So the left side is canned foods, the right side is all baking stuff. Now I'm going to cut some plywood pieces because this only came with 3 shelves per side, and frankly that's just not enough. I can make shorter shelves so I can it's only 1 row. You don't really want to stack the canned jars. And the reason for that being is if it were to pop, then, the chances of it exploding, I know that sounds so silly, but it could pop up, knock the jar off the top, and, in the process creating like a domino effect where it could break multiple jars, things could fall out. We're just not going to do that. So, single stacks. Obviously I have these little ones here, and they have been canned for a while, actually. So I need to get to using these. Found this out last year. We don't like pears. I canned up a whole bunch of pears in a bunch of different ways, and we don't like pears. They're too gritty. Or maybe it was just the ones we got. We had European pears. I don't know if it's just the type of pear. So maybe we'll try a different one. In the front, we have pasta sauces, mostly sauces to mix things with. Chip dip, there's tuna and chicken in the back. And the far back there, that is chicken broth, what is left of the last canning that I did in the fall. Here on the second shelf, for the most part, it's everything that I canned. So these are green beans from our garden this year, carrots from our garden this year, and they were little, so I just canned them up like this. Oh, that's not really focusing, is it? There it is. Good enough. So I canned them like this. Don't fall. And I also sliced. And I also sliced carrots. How many of those did I have? I think I only had 2 of these. And then the green beans, I think there were 7 or 8. Oh no, there's more. There's 4. See, I didn't organize anything very well. I need to get better about that. Jam, that really should be up there, up on the top. I'm trying to keep it as organized as possible. Here on this third shelf is processed cans. So here, you know, cheese dip. There's some tomatoes in there. Cream of chicken, cream of mushroom, you know, those type of things. Peanut butter. This is actually a root beer flavored syrup for snow cones. There was a hole in the gallon that it was in, so I put it in the jars. Down on the bottom, these are all oils. Peppered gravy, I bought that in bulk. There's some vinegar in there, and in the blue 5-gallon tub, that is powdered milk. So I have a whole 5-gallon tub full of powdered milk in case we don't have access to milk for a while. Now we'll move over to this side, and in that 5-gallon bucket, right there, see, it's different in the camera, right there, that 5-gallon bucket is sugar. And then there's jasmine rice, there's some other rice, there's cake flour, breadcrumbs. Move up a row. There's gravies and mixes in here. So we've got gravy, Nesquik, different gravies. There's some coconut oil. I've got a bulk thing of cinnamon sticks. In the fall I use a lot of cinnamon sticks in tea. I have arrowroot powder, I just got this. And Naxium gum. So these are organic, gluten-free options. I got this specifically because I'm going to make toothpaste, and also it's a natural thickener. Also arrowroot instead of cornstarch I could use. In this are like Campbell's Skillet. These are like flavor packets and stuff to add to cooking meals. Here we have, this is orange peyote tea, cream of tartar, powdered sugar, cocoa powder, cornstarch. There's some cornstarch up there too. But in the top shelf we've got a little bit of powdered milk. There's brewer's yeast powder up there. Let's see, we have cornmeal. This is the only one not in a jar. All the rest, the cornmeal is in a jar. We have a large size baking powder, baking soda, pectin for jelly, large thing of ground pepper. There's yeast back there. Try to keep it as shaded as I possibly can. I'm moving this camera around a lot, I know. It's a new camera. It is heavy, and I'm getting used to it. Plus the tripod. Okay. Ooh. So this pantry, dry goods, canned things. I want to add, like I said, 3 or 4 more shelves here. That way I have just the one layer of the glass, different things. I have 3 5-gallon buckets that are full with different things that I need to put I need a different place to put them in. Also, I need to prepare for where the heck am I going to put all this food that I'm canning and putting away? Because there's a lot of it. This is the original pantry. You can see these 5 shelves are clearly not enough. They are completely full. Normally up top would be bread, but since bread is so expensive, I've stopped buying it. Instead, I've been making it 1 loaf at a time, and it stays in the microwave so it can keep its softness for as long as possible. This is, what is this? Marshmallows, crackers, there's popcorn back there, croutons, pudding, you know, a bunch of bulk foods, things that we usually eat. This one is mostly breakfast and snack stuff, so we have oatmeal and peanuts. It's not organized very well. Let's go up there, as does that. It's noodles, okay. So this is like breakfast things. There's grits in the back. I'm not sure why this lid is here. so none of this is properly organized. Down in this shelf, we got popcorn in here. There it is. These are Flamin' Hot Cheeto macaroni. Son, just get the water. It's more distracting for you to pump it, okay? So that's pretty much what this shelf is. In the back here, there's a bunch of flavored rices, instant pastas, quick meals, quick side dishes. And I can't store much on here because it's like a balancing act, and if it's too heavy, it'll fall. Here are more croutons that should actually be up top. Rice-a-roni, some more instant meals. There's some seaweed back there, tacos, crackers, pasta. Everything down here for the most part is pasta or noodles. But right in here, this is everything that I use to make yogurt, all my yogurt toppings. Yeah, there is a lot of marshmallows in here right now. I got a lot of marshmallows because I wanted to make fudge. I've not made fudge yet. So these dried fruits, trail mixes, peanuts, things like that. I like yogurt and I like the add-ons. On the front, day of the week calendar. I very rarely write on that, really. As far as meal planning goes, I will meal plan for, I used to do a month at a time, but then it would change so frequently because nobody wanted anything that I put on the meal plan, so I stopped meal planning. And now it's just a whole bunch of, oh, well, what do you want for dinner? I don't know. And then, you know, we have not very good food. And then my stomach's upset. And that's a cycle. So you can see if we only had this one for food, we had to get a whole nother pantry. Up top here, I didn't even show you. But up top there's, I got a bunch of Bisquick. There's some cereal up there, big Ziplocs that won't fit in my cabinetry. Cheese balls, you know, your classic junk food. I am hearing shaking over here. We're not at a boil yet, but almost. So it is more important now than ever before to prepare for the future. We are going into some very uncertain times, and it's not fun things. None of this is fun to think about, but it is important to be prepared. And the way that I am preparing is by putting away as much food as I possibly can. You know, I have to find different ways to store things. So it takes some little creativity. Yeah, I have a very small kitchen with very little storage. Actually, most of my house, there's relatively almost no storage other than what we've put in here, and they are, you know, removable furniture items. So here we are by my front door. Bad angle, weird lighting, I know. It's a mess, but I have five 5-gallon buckets right here filled up. That's my husband's work stuff. We had to share the space. So these are my garden seeds, and these are potatoes I need to plant. Some lights, but you know, I need to find a better place to store these than right there by the front door. Here's a storage rack with a bunch of books and the printer, and right now my computer. It is, of course, messy, and I've got some boxes of shipments to deal with. But if this were more sturdy, I'd be able to put food on it, because it is not very sturdy. It's just for books. And really, it could fall over if it were pushed hard enough. We are at the boil point now, so I need to set a timer for 20 minutes. Where were we? Just had a lovely conversation with my 11-year-old. Let's see, where were we? Prepping, preparing for things that are coming, putting away food. Okay. Food is not the only thing that you should be stocking up on. When you think about necessities, what do you need to survive? Let's just call it the doom-dooms. That's stupid, I know. Whatever will come. How about that? Instead of the doom-dooms, we'll call it whatever will come. La future. I did cover this in a previous video, 13 things you need to survive what is coming. I think I'm going to record that video. It is loud. It is. Between the wildlife outside, fighting cats, and my husband drilling, my neighbors being loud. It's very distracting, and even I didn't really want to stay on it that long, so like that was an indicator for me that I should probably redo this video in a more quiet setting, and we'll kind of go from there. But food is not the only thing you want to stock up on. It is important to have a good amount of medical supplies on hand. So 3 years ago, I bought a lot of medical supplies. I am now almost out completely. So 3 years ago, I spent like $200, $250 to buy all the medicine I think that I could need for a year. What ended up lasting us almost 3 years. And except for Band-Aids, this time we need to buy more Band-Aids. My point is, though, there could come a time in the very near future, say the winter, when a lot of people are starting to get sick, you know? As the weather changes, people get sick. It's just what happens. Imagine that there's no medicine at the drugstore. Imagine that you cannot order medicine online anymore. Now, you can order just about anything online, and I feel like that's going to be like a permanent thing forever. Order crap online, right? More likely it's the grocery stores and local towns and local businesses that are going to suffer from everything that's going to come soon. I went off topic. Yes, I did. Medical supplies and why you need to have them, because there might not be any. Because you need to prepare for the eventuality that that might not be something that you can find. And we're talking about cold and flu medicine, Band-Aids, first aid, like a first aid kit, you know, basic first aid things that you would need. Like in your hurricane packs, if you have hurricanes. Here in South Carolina, we do have hurricanes, and it is currently hurricane season. You know, other things to have on hand would be like flashlights, batteries, candles, what else? Paper towels. You're always going to kind of need paper towels, you know. For almost 2 years, we didn't use paper towels. I did buy a bulk shipment online, and I use them for certain things. Like, the paper towels are rationed. They really are, because of how expensive they are. I use washcloths and hand towels and other rags for just about everything else. Cleaning up messes, drying off hands. Another thing that I ordered, which it really does seem crazy, but towels. Turns out you can't have enough towels. And right now, JCPenney's is having a clearance sale on towels. So go check that out, and you could get a decent amount of towels for a decent amount of price. I clearly went off topic there. Kind of just got a little bit into a rant. My whole point in this video is preserving food, putting away food, prepping food. I just want you to know that that's not the only thing that you should be focusing on. Now, one thing that I do not have stored up is a bunch of water, and I am currently working on that. I am trying to figure out some sort of like rainwater catchment system along with a filtration system, and that, you know, has gotten increasingly more expensive lately. Should have done it 2 years ago when I wanted to. Now I'm looking back on all these times I should have done that. But I have enough knowledge now where I learned my lessons. We still have 9 minutes on these cherries. They are just over here boiling away. So I've had a lot of green beans come into the house from the garden, and a lot of summer squash, zucchini. I did end up shredding up and freezing, I think it was 8 zucchini. I shredded them up and I put them in Ziploc bags, measuring out about 2 cups. So they're each about 2 cups. I've noticed every zucchini recipe that I kind of look at, basically you're going to use about 2 or 3 cups of this shredded zucchini. So, you know, a very easy thing that I put away. Let's see. A lot of herbs that have come into the kitchen. I have been doing my best to dehydrate as many herbs as I possibly can. For the most part, I'm pretty full up, but I still need more time and mint, lemon balm. There are some things like newer herbs that I have not put away a whole lot of, and I have a very little amount of time and mint, so I want, you know, to get on that. And dill, I've been working on filling up my dill. It's my first year growing dill from seed, and I really like dehydrating my own herbs. They taste better than store-bought. They're not that weird brown color, like, you know, when you see oregano, you just assume that it's going to be this brown color. dried oregano is not a brown color. It's actually a very light green, just like parsley. Well, parsley is more of like a darker green. It looks like it was a live plant and not like it had shriveled up. You feel me? These processed for about 25 minutes. I just let them sit for a little bit. Now we have 9 jars of cherries canned up. I will be able to use these for different things when I'm not just limited to one type of cherry. I could have made cherry pie filling, but I felt like this would be the best option. That is all that I have for today. Hopefully you learned something. We talked a little bit about prepping food and preparing. I feel like we covered a good amount. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. We'll see you next time here on Hollow Acres Homestead.